Hey guys, what's going on? It's Alex here, and I'm back with another mod review. Now this one's going to be a big one, so it's going to be multiple parts, and I'll make sure to label each part so that way you know exactly which one to find. But today we're going to be looking at the Ars Nouveau 2 mod. This is a spiritual successor to the Ars Magica mod from way back in the day, which this is going to let you become a wizard in Minecraft with a variety of different spells that can help making your mining or your combat better. So, let's just hop right into it, why don't we? So you can see in my hand right now I've got the Novice Spellbook, and whenever I'm holding the Spellbook, that brings up two different things in the bottom left corner. One is my mana bar, which if I spam out spells, you can see that goes down over time, but then refreshes as well. And two, the name of a spell. This is going to be very important because you're going to have a lot of spells. This Novice Spellbook only holds 10, but you're going to have a lot of spells that build up really fast, so being able to know on the fly which one is which is very handy. And you can also open up a wheel here, and it will display all of your spells. So to craft one of these, super simple, you just need a book and a set of iron tools, and that will create the Novice Spellbook. Now, you have the spellbook, but you don't have any spells yet. The first thing you want to do is open up your spellbook. You can select a form. Basically, this is going to say how your spell is going to react, and you can only have one form per spell. So you get 3 to start with. You get projectile, which is what you saw me do in the beginning, shooting off the missiles. Self, which means that whatever spell you do is going to trigger and affect you as the player yourself and nothing else. And touch, meaning like you have to right-click on the book on something. So if I was to just right-click on here with a break spell, that's what that would do. Now, an effect, you can have as many of these on as you want. Now, mind you, the more effects you have, the more the mana is going to take. So, early game, I would advise not using too many of these, as it can drain your mana very fast. To start, you get the break spell and the harm spell. So these are your two basic ones. I have 2 here. Don't worry about it. We will get into that later on how to learn more. But to start, you get 2 effects. You get the break and harm. So if I wanted to make a simple mining spell, I would do touch, break, then name it, and make sure you're on an open slot, or else you will overwrite one of your current spells. All fine and dandy. And create. You have successfully created your first spell. Now this spell is going to work. Just walk up to something, right click it, and it breaks. Now this has a mining level up to obsidian, so you can't mine obsidian with it. There are spells that can make that possible. But I realized I haven't talked about the the Archwood trees. Now these spawn semi rarely in biomes all around. Like you can see a couple of the blue ones over there. I believe that's cascading Archwood trees, and yeah, and then very rarely, and I mean very rarely, you can find an Archwood forest, which is just a forest made entirely out of Archwood trees with natural lights and more commonly spawning magical mobs. And they all generate their own fruit. Now, on the vexing trees, you get the bastion fruit. When you eat it, you get shielding for a minute. Now, I believe this functions just the same as if you were, or resistance buff rather. Now, with the cascading trees, you will get frosteas. Now, these function the same way as cocoa beans, so you can place them back on Archwood. The frostea, when you eat it, will give you freezing, which is going to cause slowness, and it's going to cause this freezing effect to appear on your screen, and you will start taking damage. So I would say avoid eating the frosteas. Next up, on the blazing Archwood trees, you get pomegranates. Pomegranates are interesting. When you eat them, nothing happens eventually, or immediately, but then you get this effect called blasting. And when that timer hits 0, and last but not least, on the, I think it's flourishing Archwood log, or flowing Archwood log? Flourishing Archwood log, you get the Mendestines. Now when you eat one of these guys, you're going to get the recovery, which, now when you get this effect called recovery, it's actually going to increase the amount of healing you get from healing items. Now that we made the spellbook And we can now craft some basic spells. Let's get into some more advanced parts of the mod. Now, you'll want to create a Dowsing Rod. Now, what this is, it's made with 2 Archwood planks and 1 gold ingot. When you cast the Dowsing Rod, it will detect budding amethyst, and it works from a pretty good distance away. You can see pretty far underground. I believe it's 75 blocks is what the max range is it on. And it will also highlight magical creatures. So we go over here. We can see this World Sprig is highlighted. So this is going to be an easier way to find World Sprigs and Drigme and Starbunkles whenever you are ready to start getting some shards. Which again, we will get into that here in just a minute. Amethyst will be pretty helpful, will be pretty helpful in this mod. So it's always going to be nice to have some budding amethyst. You can start a farm. Plus, budding amethyst is just very cool. Now, on to the first magical machinery you'll make. It is the Imbuement Chamber. Now, this is going to be your way to acquire source gems and several other very helpful things in this mod. You first, to craft it, it's very easy. You just need Archwood planks and 2 gold ingots. And that will create your Imbuement Chamber. Now, as it is right now, this will work, but it will work fairly slowly. If you can put either lapis or amethyst into this, and this will get you a source gem. And as you can see, it's going very slow, and we get a message popped up, crafting source gem, add nearby source to increase the crafting speed. These will work on their own, but if you have some source, so say you have a source jar, and throw that down, it will make this crafting very much faster. So we can see it was going to take about 30 seconds that way. If I throw it in now, it's going to fill it up almost instantly. The basic Imbuement Chamber can help you make the source gems. However, you're going to need something more if you want to make some more complex things. Now, once you have some source gems, you can start making some source stone. And I realized I forgot to show how to make that. Super easy. Just surround regular smooth stone around a source gem, and that creates source stone. You're going to need source stone, some gold nuggets, and a source gem, and that creates an arcane pedestal. Now, it is important to know that the Imbuement Chamber will only pick them up in a 3-block area, so they have to be placed in a 3x3 like this. Now, once you have it in the 3x3, you now have a 3x3 crafting grid in the Imbuement Chamber. This will let you make your more complex things, such as essences. Essences are going to be something that is used in crafting of more glyphs to create more spells, as well as several other things. So it's very nice to have an upgraded Imbuement Chamber here. So, you have your more basic elemental essences, so your air, fire, earth, water. You also have a couple more complex ones: manipulation, abjuration, and conjuration. So to create the air, you are going to need a source. All of these are crafted with a source gem in the center Imbuement Chamber, and that will be the last thing you place when you make this recipe. And these are all corner, corner, middle. So, yeah. To create the air essence, you're going to need feather, arrow, and wilden wing, and I'll get to them in just a second. To create the fire essence, you need source gem, gunpowder, and torch, and flint and steel. Make the earth essence, you're going to need iron ingot, source gem, dirt, and wheat seeds, or any seeds work for that matter. And for water essence, you need source gem, water bucket, kelp, and snow block. Now onto manipulation, you'll need a stone button, redstone dust, clock. For conjuration essence, you'll need a wilden horn, starbuncle shards, and book. And for abjuration essence, you'll need a fermented spider eye, a milk bucket, and sugar. Now, there are a few mobs that are added in this, and that is where you get like the wilden horn and wilden spike, wilden wing, all that from. And they're used later on. So let's take a look at these mobs. So the wilden hunter is this goat man. The way he works is he will charge you and pull you in, and he will summon some wolves to help him fight. And he drops wilden horns. The next mob that you're going to run into is the wilden stalker. Now these guys fly at you. And this is how they close the distance on you. These are going to be the guys you see the most common of the 3 mobs. They're also the easiest to kill. You just have to be careful because they do have that range, and that is actually where you get the Wilden Wing as well. That one didn't drop it, but the Wilden Wing will drop from them. Last but not least is the Wilden Guardian. These guys seem like they only spawn in cold biomes, and they function similar to a regular Guardian, and they give you slowness. Now, they're not very fast, but as with normal Guardians, if you get too close, those spikes will get you, and they do drop Wilden Spikes. So if you see anything with that crafting recipe, just know that those are the 3 mobs that it comes from. There is also one more boss mob that we will get to in the final part, so he's not going to be shown just yet. And now that you know how to get the various drops from all the Wilden enemies, you now know how to make essences. Let's move on to collecting Source. Source is going to be one of the most valuable things you can get in this mod, as it enables you to use the Imbuement chamber faster, and it also allows you to use this Enchanting Apparatus, which again we will get to in just a moment. To craft them, you first need a source jar. This is what will store the source. These could be picked up and they maintain the amount of source that was in them whenever they are broken. It's really easy. It's just using Archwood slabs and glass, and that creates a source jar. The first source link you'll want to create is the agronomic. These are functions by absorbing source generated from crops growing. It will generate source fairly quickly if you have a large field. Now, it might take some time. Bone mealing crops does not generate source for the agronomic source link. And there you go. Now, like I said, it does take a little bit of time if you have a smaller farm like this one, but these things will absorb in a very large radius. I think 15 blocks. I had it set up 15 blocks in our All the Mods 8 playthrough, and it was still collecting. And as long as there is a source jar within, I believe, 5 blocks, it will dispense the source into that. Now that we've learned about the agronomic source link and how basic source collection works, there are several other source links that we can make as well. You have the Vitalic source link, which is going to generate source based off mob breeding, mob growth, or mob kills. These will be nice to have in your farms, as your live animal farms, as they will generate a lot of source very fast as long as you actively breed and cull. They're all going to be made exactly the same, with source gem in the top and bottom rows, gold ingots on the left and right, and a different item relating to the source link in the middle. So for a Vitalic source link, you need a glistering melon slice. There is the mycelial source link, which generates source from food items, with source berry foods generating significantly more. It's crafted with a mushroom stew, and when you place one of these, it will actually turn a 3x3 area into mycelium, and that might take some time to do so, but it will. Then you have your alchemical source link, which generates based off of potions, and the more complex the potion, the more source it will generate. And last but not least, there is the volcanic source link, which generates source from heat, so have these near a pool of lava. Now, it is important to know that these will also begin to melt the blocks around them, so be careful with how you place it. These will also cause the lava lilies to spawn, and if you wanted to craft them yourself, they are a very nice decoration tool. With just a lily pad with 8 source gems, it creates 8 source lava lilies. Now, the color of the lava lily changes based on what block is underneath them. If it's just any other block, it'll be purple. If it's over lava, it will be yellow. And if it's over a magma block, it will be red. And now that you've got source generation underway, now you can start moving into the more complex parts of the mod with the Enchanting Apparatus. This is going to be made with the apparatus in the center with 8 pedestals around it to maximize it. These work from a 5 block diameter, so you can have them out an extra block. To craft the Enchanting Apparatus, you are first going to need an arcane core, which is source stone, gold ingots, and a source gem. This will be placed underneath the apparatus, and that is something that I forgot to do the first time that I crafted one of these, and then I wondered why it didn't work. And the enchanting apparatus itself is 4 gold nuggets in the corners, 2 gold ingots in the top and bottom, 2 source stones on the left and right, and a diamond in the middle, and that will create your enchanting apparatus. This is going to be used to create Magebloom seeds, which should be the first thing you make in the apparatus. It's just any seed with source gems on the 4 sides. And that will create a Magebloom. Right, that will create a Magebloom seed. I put the wrong thing there. Please forgive me. And the enchanting apparatus works the same way as the imbuement chamber, with the exception of it will always need source to create a recipe. And you need to place the middle item in the enchanting apparatus last. These things will eat up source very fast. There's some arbor that you can craft later on, as well as some other things that will eat up source like crazy. So you will want to have very good source generation underway, and you will want to have some source shards filled up just to have as a backup. And Magebloom is going to be the first thing you want to make in the enchanting apparatus, as that will enable you to make Magebloom fibers, which will let you finally learn how to make glyphs to make more spells. So you Magebloom fiber, you're going to surround a piece of paper, and that will create a blank parchment. Take a blank parchment and surround it, or give it 4 source gems. This one is shapeless. And you get a spell parchment. Now you use the spell parchment at the scribe's table, which is Archwood slabs, gold nuggets, and flourishing Archwood logs. They don't need to be stripped. And you will create a scribe's table. Now the way you place this is kind of weird. If you place it right here, it actually places sideways. So it can be a little tricky to get placed right. Now to create your first spell, you'll need to take your create your first glyph. You'll need to take your spell parchment and right-click it onto here, and then right-click with your spell book, and you can look and see all the different glyphs you can make. Now there are tier 1, 2, and 3, which come with advanced spellbooks, which we will actually look at in the next part. But for right now, you'll just want to make a tier 1 spell. Amplify is a good one to start with, as it will, 1, enable you to mine obsidian, and 2, it will let you deal more damage with your spell. And you can stack them like mad. Each of these have items underneath it. That is the crafting, what you will need for this spell. Now to make Amplify, you need a diamond pickaxe. So whenever you're ready to craft that, select the Amplify and hit select. You will see the items required over top of your head here. Now we need a diamond pickaxe. You just right click it and it begins writing the spell. And it's crafting the Glyph of Amplify. And once it's done, you get the glyph, you will right click it, and you unlock it. Simple as that. And the spell parchment does stay there, so you don't even need to make more spell parchment. And one more thing we're going to look at, we're going to talk about the last of the mobs, and the last basic crafting item you're going to need. So first, we have the World Sprigs and the Starbunkles. World Sprigs are these little green floaty guys you see drifting around everywhere. And they actually, all of these little friendly mobs have a special drop that you can get from them. So for the World Sprig, you actually generate theirs by placing a sapling, and growing it near them. And it gives you a chance to get, not a chance, it will give you a World Sprig shard. Starbunkles are also fairly easy. They are these cute little squirrel guys you see running around. To get a Starbuncle shard, you toss them a gold ingot, or gold nugget. And you see it holding it in its tail there, all cute. And it poofs away and gives you a Starbuncle shard. These little guys here are called Drigme. You can find them in most biomes, but I've found them the best in plains and forests. And you can toss them a Wilden Horn, and they will poof away and give you a Drigme shard. And last but not least, we have the Wixie shard. This one is a little tricky, and you'll want to craft the Dispel spell here. I use Touch Dispel, and make sure you have it selected whenever you are ready to do this. Now to get it, you need to find a witch and get it down to under half health. So 3 hits from a diamond sword and use Dispel. And that will give you Wixie shard. That will give you Wixie shards. And that will conclude part 1 of the Ars Nouveau 2 walkthrough. At this point now, you should have a basic understanding of how source works, how to collect source, how to create source gems, and how to create your own spells and tier 1 glyphs. This mod is a very cool mod, and I will get part 2 out as soon as I can, and I promise you will enjoy it. If you guys found this walkthrough helpful, make sure to hit that like button down below and hit that follow button so that you're always in the loop and you never miss a video. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I will see you in part 2.